I owned a high street coffee shop for 5 years in the centre of Bath that was rated #1 best coffee and hot chocolate in the city. So I want to let you in on a secret as to the single biggest thing that we did wrong as a successful coffee shop. You know, we were taking okay money, but the most successful thing were our margins. As we had a coffee shop consultant come in and they had a look at our stuff and they were like, oh, gosh, yeah, all of the things that I usually do for coffee shops you've already done. You already have above average industry standard numbers everywhere in terms of profitability. And like, numbers is what we're good at, systems is what we're good at. But the biggest mistake we made was a skill we didn't have, which is getting more customers. And that was the same skill that the guy we hired didn't know how to do either, which is difficult. And the fun thing is, if you have a company where your main approach to getting new customers is just being there or word of mouth, you don't have a reliable system for getting more new customers. There's not a lever you can pull. You can't just do double, triple, 10x being in a place, right? Okay, maybe you actually can with flyers and posters and stuff like that, but a lot of it's an opportunistic buy, right? And the thing to remember here is that because you have a way right now in your business of getting customers, probably word of mouth if you do a good job, your process for selling warm people, so people who know who you are, who have a recommendation as an example, will not work on new cold, people who don't know who you are, clients and leads, because they don't know or trust you and you are not enabling a system where they can go from unknown to known, right? But the nice thing is, if you start with a system where you are able to convert cold clients to existing customers, right, to paying customers, that same sales system will also work for warm leads. It will also work for referrals, but it doesn't go back the other way. In maths, it's called non-commutative, right? 4 plus 6 is 10, great, and so is 6 plus 4, also 10. But if it's subtract, now it matters what order they're in. And it's the same thing here with getting leads and getting customers. What works for a warm client what works for a cold client will always work for a warm client. But what works for a warm client won't be enough in most cases for a cold client. And so if you have this issue that we had and we didn't know how to solve, you need to be able to focus on converting cold leads. So that's people who don't know you exist. And then you have to take them through the process of learning who you are, having an offer so good they feel stupid saying no, and then actually purchasing. And a key mistake that we did in our second business, where we started doing that process, was not understanding the lifetime value of a customer. So we decided to run paid ads, which is a tricky thing to do for something like a coffee shop, because your average spend in a coffee shop is about £5, right? Try and get a new customer for £5, it's not working, right? As an example, my company right now, we on average get a customer for £100, which as industry standards go is pretty good. So that's not going to work for a coffee shop unless you're able to track the lifetime value of a new customer in your coffee shop. So if you can create a system like a subscription where on average a new client would pay you £500, now you can spend 100, right? And then you're just dealing with cash flow issues. And I hope that makes sense, that if you can track how much a customer will spend across their entire lifetime with you, that number is much more valuable because now you know how much you can actually spend to get them and then pay to fulfill them and then have money left over for profit, which is what the company needs to make. So an example, my second business, it was my first 7-figure business, is a chocolate factory, right? We built this up during COVID to making 600 bars a day. We started running Facebook ads and Amazon ads and Google ads, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We binned about 20 grand. And we paid many other people who knew this was their job, who knew how to do this, just to copy what they did for other businesses, and they weren't able to do it. So what's funny looking back now is actually we had a return on ad spend of 1. What that means is for every £10 we spent, we got an order for £10. It's actually more like 20 quid for 20 quid. But what we didn't realise is that same customer probably was going to purchase again. But the next time they purchase doesn't cost us anything because now they know who we are. So in the little parcel, maybe what we should have done is sent them a follow-up and say, here's 50% off your next order. And then on that one, here's 30% off your next order, right? And then because we use Shopify at the time, you can actually track who's purchasing. You can track their life cycle and then the number of times on average they purchase. And now, if you then looked at the lifetime value of a customer, which in our company was actually really quite high, like a lot of people would spend hundreds, if not close to £1,000 with us. Now that's not everybody, that's not the average, but the average is probably in the region of about £100. So if we were getting 20 quid for £100, how many times would you play that game? Every £1 in, you get 5 back, right? And if your margins are 50% or something like that, you would just print. But we didn't know that at the time. So having a system, this is the end takeaway, having a system which will convert cold clients into new clients is more important than just saying, hey, here's the thing, pay. Because that's what works for warm clients, right? If my best friend tells me that this thing's amazing, it's changed his life, I'll believe him and I'll buy the thing. And then knowing as a business, on average, how much someone will spend with your company then allows you to understand the budget you can spend on finding them. That's the trick. Don't make the same mistake I did. I'm making many more since then, and I still am making many more. But that one I'm trying not to make again. All right, guys, have a great day.